Hi, everyone. I'm Courtney Fairchild, President and CEO of Global Services, and welcome to the new normal. This is our first of 2021, and the new normal is really built to talk about the challenges that we are facing with COVID-19, the current pandemic, and more specifically, what kind of changes that's brought about for all of our government contracting clientele. Today, I am so lucky. My friend and valued teaming partner, Marsha Lindquist, the owner of Granite Leadership Strategies, is joining us. Welcome, Marsha. How are you?
I'm great. Courtney, thanks so much for the intro. Yeah.
You bet. So Granite Leadership Strategies is a leader in government contracts strategy and pricing. They have facilitated their clients' wins with effective government pricing strategy that have resulted in over $30 billion in new government contracts. So Marsha's here today. We are so lucky to help us talk a little bit, not only about sort of the new normal and where we are, but more specifically from a business standpoint, where that leaves us with our government contracts and our pricing strategies. So let's jump in, Marsha, if you don't mind, on the business side. Let's talk a little bit about what you've seen in terms of sweeping changes throughout the industry of how people have changed how they're doing business. And even more specifically, what about the GovCon community?
Well, I think what's obvious to everybody is that remote is the new normal. Everything that we do is remote. We do it like we're doing today with Zoom, we're doing it with Microsoft Teams, we're doing it with all kinds of software. And I love it because, you know, instead of missing seeing people, we don't have to miss seeing them. You know, I think there's a greater connection when we're able to see people and actually not only see their body language, but get their facial expressions, which I think is so darn important. And in GovCon, I think it's been harder for a lot of GovCons to accept the remote opportunities, shall we say. GovCons tend to be a very, very conservative lot of people. And I think it's been a little bit more challenging for them to accept that this is the way we're doing things now, you know, but it is a new normal and we love it. To be perfectly frank with you, I love it. I was, you know, mentioning to another colleague that I've been in Phoenix now for 15 years. And to be perfectly honest with you, this has been my normal. I don't get to see people in person as often. You know, maybe 4 times a year I would get to DC to see my clients in person. So this is the way I've been doing business for 15 years.
Our government contract clients tend to be a little more conservative than most. And I think they wanted us sitting in war rooms. They wanted us butts in seats sitting for 40 hours a week, which is not a great use of dollars, number one, or time for that matter. And so I think we're seeing exactly the same thing that you are, that the adaptation has made our clients in some sense more successful. Last year and the start of this year, we haven't seen government contracting slow down. As a matter of fact, we've almost seen more opportunities hitting. So tell me what is specific to this in terms of pricing strategies, and what are you seeing for government contractors and what's important from that standpoint as well?
Well, I think what's important is that pricing has in the past been regarded as a guarded resource. Let's put it, you know, straight up. I think what's had to happen for most contractors is they've had to accept that they need the help and they're going to have to go to outside sources to get that. We have seen a busier 2020 and 2021 than we ever have before. I think that there's a lot more government contracting happening, not because of COVID necessarily, but maybe that's part of it. But I also think too that the help that they need is even more prevalent because perhaps some of those people who would be at their disposal aren't available or are not the right talent. So when you bring in the right talent just for the bullet that you need, and let's use that word, it is a silver bullet when you're bringing in someone to help with pricing strategy, then it's riveted. It's very, very directed. It's you're in and you're out. We are not seeing big, long assignments of, like you were saying, 40 hours a week, butts and seats, that kind of thing. But we're able to be way more efficient because we are remote, and we're able to get in, do the job, and save a lot of money for contractors. Let's face it. I mean, a lot of what we do is, how should I say it, very efficient, very, very quick.
I think really good consulting always is. And one of the reasons that we have both seen our businesses with a huge uptick is that we were ready to make that pivot. We already were remote and never were the butt in the seat. And so we had many of our people that were who are our clients today that were not at the start of this, realized that they needed a team that was used to dealing in this environment. And we were already up to speed and had the processes and the technology in place to be able to do that. So we helped lead them through what that transition was as well, so that they can do more. And as you say, it's a better use of dollars, time. We can help you be far more effective. And we often partner with you as a pricing strategist because we need to bring in someone that has that expertise. What are really common government contract pitfalls? What are the kinds of things that we fall in? You've been kind enough to write a blog post for us this month, and everybody can find it on the Global Services blog on our website. But let's talk through some of what those pitfalls are and what people should be thinking about when they're working their pricing strategy.
Well, I think the biggest factor that comes into play, and I still see this repeatedly, it amazes me, is that people wait until the RFP hits the street before they pick up the phone and say, we need your help. It is got to be my biggest pet peeve, really. It's a mistake because you can't wait until you're doing the technical solutioning to be able to hit the deck running on pricing. Okay, there's so many lead things that have to happen that waiting until that RFP comes out is the biggest serious mistake I find. The other thing that is presuming that you can use the same information you've used before is a huge pitfall, because no two procurements are the same. They're all different. You know, people like to think that they're the same, but they're not. So the thing is that if you don't know your target price range, oh my God, how do you know what you're aiming for if you don't know what that is? So if you have not done a price to win analysis by someone, be it internal or external, you don't know what you're aiming for. I think that using, like I was saying, the same G&A rates or the same labor rates that you've always used before, or you arbitrarily lower your rack rate because someone said you've got to do that. I mean, that's another big pet peeve of mine, is that someone told you you had to get to a 1.4 wrap and you're not there and you're freaking out. I mean, their business is not your business. You know? Yeah,
no kidding. And arbitrarily deciding what the rate should be just to get there. I often tell clients, we're in the proposal management business. I often tell clients there is stuff that you shouldn't be pursuing. If that wrap rate needs to be 1.4 to win and you're not there, then don't bid it, right? Not every win is a win if you are not profitable. And you would be amazed, you would not. Our audience might be amazed at the number of people that bid without thinking through what their margins are and what the appropriate staff is going to be and how they're going to perform on that contract. Your point about waiting on pricing, I can't say it enough. It's almost the afterthought. We go to technical so quickly. We go to teaming. We go to all the other parts of that proposal. And then in the last 3 days are trying to whip together a price proposal, or just when it hits. And that is a really ineffective way to win. There's no question about that. Have you seen COVID change pricing strategies at all? Are there things that we need to keep in mind in terms of our costs going up or down, or the agency needing us to support them in a different way that we aren't thinking of, that we need to be thinking of?
Well, I think that certainly some companies are experiencing additional costs. Some are experiencing less. Let me say that. I mean, a lot of companies are not experiencing, for example, they've still got some facility costs, but some of them are getting rid of those facility costs. So that's having an incredible negative, not a negative effect, but an opposite effect, is that now that before they had some costs that they are no longer going to have, or they have found, oh my God, I can operate without having to have some of those costs.
Yeah.
It's a revelation to some clients. And I'm like, whoa, good news.
Or cheaper personnel.
Yes, absolutely. Some personnel are harder to find. So some companies are experiencing that uptick, but some companies are experiencing the opposite. So I'm seeing a little bit of both, okay? Where there's a higher demand for some people, there's an uptick in some of those costs. But generally, I don't know that we're seeing a lot of differences, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I suppose that the answer is you need to know your cost, right? And if
absolutely
everybody's business model is different and your costs may be going up or down, you just need to be really aware of what those things are, and to think through what it will mean in year 2, 3, 4, and 5, because what today's costs are may not be what the option year costs are. I think that's the other thing that people do. They keep a static cost analysis when they're bidding, but they're bidding 5-year contracts. And you have to be able to think those things through, right?
Absolutely.
We're absolutely seeing that the trade-off for flexibility may in fact be that we're willing to take less money. I know that I was speaking with one of my siblings that works for a company that offered everyone the ability to be able to continue permanently to work from home if they took a pay cut, right? So a 10 to 20% reduction in salary if you'd like to work from home. And you'd be surprised the number of people that took them up on that option. This entire pandemic, good and bad, and I think that part of the good may be that we are learning things about ourselves and what we want from our lives and our careers and how we're going to perform. How have you been dealing with you're used to being remote, you've been in Arizona for some time, but how have you been dealing with this sort of pandemic and being at home as a person and as a company?
Well, I think part of it is that I recognized in the last almost year that I'm a lot more introverted than I thought I was.
Yeah, I think me too.
I'm embracing the introvert in me a lot more. Frankly, I enjoy my company a lot. I do miss seeing my peeps when I go to DC. That part I do miss. So that's the extrovert in me that I just need to satisfy it with some of these kinds of things with some Zoom. But I think the other part is that my consultants and I do this FaceTime thing quite often. We find that we've got to check in with one another more, and we find that we care about one another more. I think the most important thing that we've done is institute the call each other frequently part. If for no other reason than just to say, how are you doing? I mean, my normal way of doing things is to pick up the phone and call people.
It is your way, yeah.
It's my very old-fashioned kind of way, but I also like it because I love to have, even if it's a minute of connectivity with someone, to hear their voice or to see their face. Either way, I love it. I really, really do.
I thought I was going to hate Zoom. I thought I was all of this video stuff, and I will tell you, it has furthered my connection with everyone I work with. We are communicating better, seeing someone's mannerisms. You have a much better sense of that conversation. And I'm having a much easier time closing business too, because I am taking the time to try to personally connect, as opposed to so many of our clients are around the country as well. So I couldn't always make a face-to-face meeting to begin with. Well, I want to leave you with the last thought. I'm going to let you, personal or professional, whatever you'd like. I can't thank you enough for taking your time with us today. I encourage everyone to read your blog article, but I'm going to give you the last word on this one.
Okay. Well, I think my biggest last word is to reach out. However that is. However that is. You know, I always say there's that thing on your desk, it makes outgoing calls. That screen that you're looking at, it's a two-way street. Let's use the tools that we've got and stay connected. I think if that's the only way we have of doing it, let's use the tools that we've got, because we do have them.
I like it. That's a really great thought. And I thank you for being such a good friend. You are very good at that and have taught me that over the years as well. So Marsha, thanks so much for joining us. I cannot thank you enough. And thanks to everyone for spending your time with us. I know it's only a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about the new normal, but another great way to put the other things down and take a minute to do something else. We'll look forward to seeing you again next month on the new normal, and have a great day.